Grand Rising, beautiful soul family. I'm Coach Suzie, and welcome to the Beyond Abuse podcast, a show about the power and benefits of using self-love and hope to overcome self-doubt, depression, anxiety, and panic attacks resulting from the trauma and abuse of our past. I love sharing my story, but I love showcasing other badass men and women who learn to turn their pain into purpose. And they're using that gift to help other men and women transform their mindset from victim to victor. Today, I have the pleasure and honor of showcasing Joy Larkin. She is a life coach, executive director, public speaker, mentor, and counselor. She's the founder and CEO of Live Narc Free, an organization that helps individuals learn how to reclaim their well-being, self-esteem, love, relationship, and how to break free from narcissistic abuse. Joy believes in a society of strong, beautiful, and powerful people who can accomplish anything by overcoming any struggles in their way and maintaining high standards for themselves. Welcome, Joy, and thank you so very much for being on the podcast today. How you doing?
I am doing well, and thank you for that wonderful intro. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's funny because when I first stumbled on your YouTube channel and I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, like the knowledge and the wisdom that you're helping people, notice the signs, about narcissistic abuse, because I believe it is very prevalent. But the more people start speaking out about it and making people aware of it, I think that we can all, as a collective, combat that and start holding people accountable for their abusive behavior. So just tell us how you got started with that and a little bit of your backstory and how you turned your pain into purpose and you're helping other people.
Yeah, so basically my story was when I was 17, I moved to Los Angeles, California from Delaware. While I was living in Delaware, I was staying with my aunt, which I later found out that she was a narcissist. And while I was living with her, just trying to find my way in life, I met a guy on Twitter, which, it was business in the beginning, but later turned into something more. But I found out that he was a narcissist as well. And along my journey, I was working at this call center job, and I later met this other guy, and I found out that he was a borderline, which they're very similar to narcissists, but still toxic, unhealthy kind of relationship. And, how I got started on all of this was, because all of these people that I had met, or, my aunt and then the two guys, it was just more so like I was feeling lost. I had a lot of pain that I was feeling, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to turn to. I feel like people didn't really understand what I was going through. So I felt like, well, if I could share my story with someone else, maybe they may have been scared or afraid to say something. I'm like, okay, well, I can speak out about my story and maybe it can help someone else. And so that's kind of like how I got started on this journey with helping people overcome narcissistic abuse.
Awesome. So did your aunt raise you? Was she like your mother or caregiver?
Well, at the time like I said, when I was 17, I moved to LA, and she was kind of like my legal guardian at the time due to, having a death in the family, which, was very devastating. So I had to kind of pick up my bags and move. And, she knew everything that I was going through, but, she didn't really care, obviously. And so just really treated me the way essentially she felt about herself, but was just kind of projecting that onto me, unfortunately. So
yeah.
And
we know that that's how they do, because they've been raised by, narcissistic parents as well. I mean, I believe, they're just passing down what they've learned, and so they're passing down learned behavior. So how did you figure out that she was in fact a narcissistic, and how did you escape, or how did you get yourself out of that situation?
Well, to be honest with you, I really didn't know that she was a narcissist until after I had already moved out. But I just realized that she would say things to me that would really hurt my feelings. It would really make me feel uncomfortable. And she really invalidated like my whole being. It was like nothing that I ever did was okay. Like, you know, everything that I did was wrong. And she didn't support just like things that interest me, like whether it was goals or hobbies or aspirations and things that I desired. She went against that because it was like she wanted really to control me, and she was in a sense kind of like competing with me, and I didn't even know that, you know. So that, and how I got away from her, I didn't even know I was doing this at the time, because like I said, I didn't even know she was a narcissist. But I was going to this college. I went to a college called Fullerton, and I just got my associate's degree in general studies. But, you know, I had majored in music. I'm really like a huge fan of music. And that college in particular, it was called Cal State Dominguez Hills. It was about 30 minutes away from where we lived at, because we lived in Orange County, California. And where the college was at was in a city called Carson. So it took me a while to get there. So I thought to myself, well, you know, well, maybe if I moved out, you know, and I had roommates, it would be a little bit more commutable for me. I wouldn't have to be in traffic all day, and, you know, I had more time to focus on my studies and on my work, you know. So I was like, okay, I had to get 2 jobs to help me to be able to move out. And so that way it'd be easier for me to go back and forth to class and school and still to work and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I escaped, was I was able to move out, and I didn't even know I was actually escaping.
Right.
But that's how it started. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's funny, like when you're in it, you don't know, especially like when you have dealt with that, like your pretty much your whole life, you don't know that this is exactly what you're dealing with until you're actually out of the situation. And it's like you start seeing things like gaslighting and you know, love bombing and all this other stuff, and you start reading up on this stuff, and it's like, oh my goodness, I was in a narcissistic abusive relationship. So how did you begin your healing, and then when did you start realizing that, you know what, hey, maybe I better start helping somebody else to notice the signs, recognize the signs, so that they too can leave their narcissistic abusive relationships?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I started healing, or how I started healing, was, for one, I had to go no contact with the male narc in my life before because I was still in contact with my aunt, you know, because she was family. I like grew up with her, you know, even like as a child. But in regards to the male narc I was dealing with, I had to recognize, like, again, how he made me feel. You know, I wasn't happy. I felt like I wasn't really doing anything with my life. I felt like I was really intertwined in his life, and I wasn't progressing and moving forward in my life. And, you know, I had seen him posting pictures of, there's a really popular term called the new supply. So basically it's like his new victim. What? And I'm like, okay, so he's putting this person out there, and I had already been knowing him prior to this person that he's posting, and he was future faking me all along and putting me on the back burner. I'm like, you know what? I deserve better than this. I'm worthy of better, and I want it better for myself. And so that's when I started to do that inner healing work. You know, so I started reading a lot of books about my value, about my worth, about my mindset, a lot of books about codependencies, a lot of books about post-traumatic stress disorder, you know, self-value, self-esteem, and my mind, and business too, actually, you know, to how to make profit for myself instead of, you know, being dependent on other people. That was really like what I was curious about learning during that time. But also I really grieved a lot. I had to like heal my inner child. I had to cry a lot because I felt like, you know, this narcissistic relationship between the 2 guys that I had, and even my aunt, I don't think it was by accident. I feel like it actually had a lot to do with me growing up, you know, feeling neglected, feeling abandoned, and, you know, not feeling worthy or not feeling loved enough, or not even being seen or heard by my parents. And I know they didn't do that on purpose, but unfortunately that is what happened, you know. And so I kind of had to deal with that, you know, grieving that my childhood wounds and stuff, and dealing with my fears of being alone, and feeling like I need somebody in my life. I had to really work on myself. And another thing that helped me to heal was, I talk about this all the time in my YouTube videos, is practicing yoga. It's really good for mind stillness, and, you know, it helps your physical body. You actually get a really good workout, but you quiet your mind, because there's a whole lot of stuff going on after dealing with narcissistic abuse, like the obsessions and the triggers and everything that you're feeling like isolated and alone. So like if you're able to practice yoga, it really helps you to kind of quiet that down for the moment. And when you continue to keep doing that, it just kind of gets easier every day, right? Every day that you practice it. But how I started helping other people, again, it was just more so I felt like, well, if I went through that traumatic, horrifying experience, I felt like, if again, I could help somebody else. And if I could do that, not only would I be able to heal, but I can help somebody else heal. And the story is that there was a video that I did in particular. It actually went viral. It was called "The Narcissist Has a New Girlfriend and a New Supply." Suzie, I had no idea that this video was going to go viral. Like the first two videos that I did prior to this had a couple of views, like maybe 1 or 2 comments. But this video in particular, I think a lot of people felt it. They related to it. And when I posted it, like I said, 2 weeks, I got like 60 something comments, 10,000 views. And people was like, wow, Joy, I'm so happy you spoke out. You know, I was feeling the same way, but I was afraid to say something. I'm so happy you were strong and you had the courage to come out and speak out. And I was just like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's how I started.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that feels good too, right? Because it's like, you know what? Everything that you went through is serving the purpose, right? Because I think that a lot of people are afraid, you know, and then the thing is that a lot of people are afraid to leave. A lot of people are, just like you said, you have to be able to be alone, because that's really what attracts the narcissist, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you're right.
they know that you are looking for love. You're looking for love outside of yourself, and you like smell or something, like they have this scent or something that, you know, it's like, oh yeah, that one right there, you know. So it's very important for you to really love yourself and to notice the signs. So share with us like a couple, how, if I didn't know, you know, what are the signs of a narcissist? Tell me what's the sign, like for anybody who's listening on my podcast.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. So basically, and again, this could be a friend, a family member, a partner, just someone that's very self-absorbed. They lack empathy. They don't have the ability to love. You know, they don't take accountability and a responsibility for their actions. They have this false self-ego, this grandiosity of themselves of having fame, power, and success. And it's nothing wrong with having that, but a lot of times they have this, you know, exploiting other people, you know, mistreating other people. They'll get that by any means. So that's their view of power, fame, and success. And then, you know, just manipulation and, you know, the silent treatment and projecting negative energy onto other people, just really just bad vibes overall, you know, very hateful kind of people. So
yeah, absolutely. So I know that you said no contact, because that's a huge thing when you're dealing with a narcissistic person, because they don't like that. They don't like no contact, but you have to go no contact for your benefit. Can you explain why it's important for us to go no contact with the narcissist?
Yes, I would say because we could get tempted to go back into that toxic negative cycle of abuse, you know, because we may miss them, or we could feel like there's hope. We could feel like maybe they're going to change. They may wake up one day and realize, oh, you know, I did so and so bad, you know, I need to get them back, you know. And with that little glimmer of hope, I think that can really mess us up and could get us to go back to a narcissist when we actually should be moving forward and healing and recovering and rebuilding our lives, right? I think the video that I posted, I was talking about how we need to kind of change the way we view the narcissist from viewing them as a source of happiness, but we need to view them as a source of pain instead of happiness. And I think that's what kind of keep us in contact with the narcissist, because we're so used to them giving us that fake happiness, because really, you know, it's all fake, you know, like you said earlier, the love bombing, you know, and they do put you on a pedestal. They make you feel like, you know, you are their everything, you know, and we actually believe that, we fall for that. But sooner or later, you know, they start to devalue us, and that's when that mask comes down. We see the real them. But understanding that you're going to get hurt, you're going to feel a lot of pain, and you're only delaying your healing process is what's, you know, the reason why you should stay no contact, so that way you can get better for yourselves and work on yourself, you know, do that inner healing work. So
yeah. So what do you recommend for people who have children with a narcissist? Because I have a child, and I have to deal with him, but I don't deal with him in a sense, you know. It's
right.
like I do deal with him, but I don't, you know, and now he's not doing his part of the custody, and then he's blaming me for, you know, of course, the whole blame game and everything like that. And I don't engage with him. Like, I don't argue with him. He sends emails. I just talk about my child, you know, and her benefits, right, stuff like that. But what else would you recommend for someone who's dealing with a narcissist as a co-parent?
Yeah, I would say, you know, really just kind of keep your emotions like in check, and try not to be emotionally attached to them still, because that's what they're really trying to get a reaction out of you. And if need be, you know, get the courts involved, you know, get custody in some way, and practice the gray rock method. Again, like just no reaction, and just kind of try to stay logical about everything. Try to stay logical and understand what's the end goal is. Really, it's about making sure the children are, you know, safe and they're getting their needs met, or whatever the case is. But yeah, just the gray rock method, I would say, is probably the best way to deal with a narcissist. I mean, yeah, when you're co-parenting, if you have a kid with them. So
right, yeah.
So, yeah.
And a lot of people, they don't, I think a lot of people don't even realize that they're in that situation until they get out, and then they start doing like research and all that other stuff. But and then a lot of people, you know, they really do hold out hope that that person will eventually change, and you don't believe that they can change.
Yeah, and I think that's what keeps a lot of people stuck. You know, one of my clients, I'm not going to mention her name because you know it's a podcast, but yeah, she was just talking about how, I mean, she did hold out on hope, and that was kind of stopping her from moving on in her life and stopping her from being happy, really. And I tried to get her to see that the narcissist is not going to change. It's up to us as the victims and our survivors. We have to be the change that we want to see, you know? So yeah, they're just being themselves. They're just being themselves, and they're just looking for other victims that will be okay with, you know, their type of lifestyle. That's really what they're doing. And us, we see the real them, but we feel like, because a lot of us were empaths and we want to help people, we want to change people and heal people, but the narcissist is no hope. Usually, I would say usually, because you do have some narcissists, it's a small percentage of narcissists that would potentially change, usually if there's like a midlife crisis or something that happens to them, and they may wake up and see the error in their ways, but that's minimum chance. You don't want to wait around for that, you know. It's best to just, you know, just take care of yourself and protect yourself and just move on with your life. But it's that hope that gets a lot of us. So
and a lot of empaths too, like when they're around a narcissist for like a long time, they tend to pick up those same traits. Do you see that until they get out, and then it's like, then they're able to be their authentic self because they picked up some of those traits. I mean, because they were either raised by the narcissist or in a relationship with the narcissist. So they kind of took on some of those those traits, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, how do you, or tell us, do you do counseling? Do you have a service? Do you have a program? Let the listeners know exactly what you have to offer for people who are either in a narcissistic abusive relationship, leaving a narcissistic abusive relationship, and struggling. What services or programs, or what exactly do you have to offer to those people?
Yes, absolutely. So I do have video and audio courses that do help people and guide them on how to overcome narcissistic abuse, how to recognize the signs of a narcissist, how to heal emotionally after dealing with narcissistic abuse. And I do have two coaching programs. One is called, it's a 90-day coaching program called Overcome Narcissistic Abuse, where I will guide my clients on how to overcome a narcissistic toxic relationship, and I work for them for the 90-day period, whatever, particular challenge or issue they have within, dealing with overcoming narcissistic abuse. I work with them on how to overcome that for that 90-day period. And I also have Turn Your Pain into Power, which is kind of like, the experience of dealing with such a painful experience of narcissistic abuse, and how to, turn that into your power, or how to turn that into your passion, meaning, um, not only helping yourself, but being able to help other people and making a difference and making a change and being able to profit from that. So, yeah.
Awesome. And so you are in now a healthy relationship. How
Yes.
how can someone who has left a narcissistic relationship or is leaving a narcissistic relationship, what advice would you give to them, so that they too can still have hope, or um, you know believe that they are deserving of a healthy relationship just like you have?
Yes, that's a beautiful question. I would say understand your worth, know your value, take your time. Don't be in a hurry to be in a relationship. Maybe you might see someone else is in one and you may feel like, man, I want to be like them. But you have to understand that there's like inner work that you have to do, meanings, like you said earlier, like spending time by yourself and knowing what you like, knowing what you dislike, finding your purpose, right? You have to you have to fall in love with yourself over again and get to know who you are, get that love maybe that you didn't get from your parents, in order to be able to be ready to attract another healthier relationship. But my particular story, I, did all that healing work. I would say I was single for a while. I know after the narcissistic relationship, I didn't date for like 2 years. But even in that time period, I was kind of like, in, I would say dating. I had a serious, well, it was kind of like a situationship, I guess, but we were, yeah, we were in a connection for like 2 years. But when I met my boyfriend, I was in a point in my life where I was tired of being tired. And I was just like, I know I deserve better. And I started to, I don't know if you're familiar with the law of attraction. And I started to kind of study that a little bit, which I have studied that for quite some time. But there was this one guy in particular, you guys can research. His name is Jake Ducey, is someone that I actually kind of watch his videos, but he talked about manifesting your soulmate or manifesting your life partner. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool, because the situation that I was in, I was like, I know this is not the one, you know what I mean? And so there was a video that he had online where he talked about speaking into existence, like what it is that you want, right? And I was like, okay, that'd be cool. So what I did was I listened to, he had like a little podcast where he was just like kind of saying like, I'm so happy and grateful I'm in a love and in a committed relationship with the man of my dreams, or like the woman of my dreams, whatever. And so I was like, I listened to it. And then there was another video he was talking about actually write down exactly what it is that you want in a partner. And I was like, okay, that'd be cool. And so I wrote down, I said, I wanted him to be tall. I wanted him to be handsome. I literally like wrote like all this down. I spoke it into existence, but he's the guy in the video. He said like, write down what it is that you want in a partner, right?
Right.
And so I did all that. And then I spoke out into existence. I was like, okay, I'm going to try this and see if it works. And so I was like, okay, I'm so happy and grateful. I'm now in a loving and a committed relationship with the man of my dreams. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, Suzie, I said this, let me see. I know I was doing this back in 2020. I'd say maybe like April was when I started speaking that out like in existence. But I'll tell you this, I was still kind of intertwined with the person that wasn't for me, you know, but I think it was July 2020 is when I, you know, started talking to my boyfriend, current boyfriend now. And so, but I didn't think much of it. You know, we wasn't looking, you know, we were just kind of doing our own thing. But yeah, and we connected, and, you know, he was very kind and nice and very professional. We did an interview with each other on YouTube. We were talking about mental health awareness. And I would say like our second interview we did, you know, we really started liking each other, and it just kind of took off from there. And it was cool because I was like, wow, so it's not toxic. He's not a narcissist. You know, like us victims and survivors we're looking for, you know, we're looking for it. But I was like, okay, it's not there. So I'm like, okay, God must answer my prayers. But I realized like I had to do that work before I was ready to be able to receive that. Because I'll tell you this, Suzie, like usually like there were, even when I had left from California, I had went on a couple of dates, and the guys, I'd say there was like maybe 2 or 3 guys that were like really genuinely interested in me, and I just pushed them away just because I was so used to that toxicity. I was like kind of looking for it. I wanted it. It was almost like I craved it.
Right.
But after I started, you know, just really learning to love myself. Because I tell you, I didn't like myself, and I surely didn't love myself. But I had to really just spend some time with myself. I had to fall in love with myself, and I had to know my worth. And once I did, on top of doing all like the reading and the grieving and the crying and taking care of myself and all that, I was finally ready to receive love and give it, and understand that it's like I don't have to really do much. Like it's okay for me to just be myself, and still I can receive that love. I don't have to be like this big thing. You know what I mean? Like I could just be me, and somebody will accept me for me, you know? So, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. But just understand you're on your own journey. But you have to do the inner work. You can't skip it, because if you don't, you're going to keep attracting people that are abusive, people that are going to mistreat you, until you take your power back and you set those standards for yourself. You have those boundaries, and you know what you will and what you won't accept in a relationship. And once you know that, then I think you'd be ready to attract a person. But I think when you manifest somebody, I like that, because I felt like it was easy to do it, because I didn't have to like go, because I felt like when I tried it, like, you know, you like sometimes we may try to do the online dating thing, and I don't know, it just felt like fake, you know. And I was like, I just wanted to be authentic. I wanted to be genuine. So it all kind of worked out.
And 2, even though you have a healthy relationship, that person's not perfect. Because I think a lot of people
correct.
They expect like this self-love thing to be perfect, and it's not perfect. But you both individually love yourselves enough to not only trust the other person, but to trust yourself as well. And because a lot of narcissistic and abusive relationships are based on not trusting because of past issues. So that's where a lot of the conflict and abuse and all that other stuff comes up, because it's very codependent and all that other stuff. But when you have 2 healthy people, you're more interdependent than codependent, and you're able to give your partner that space and that time, and understand that they're not a perfect person, that they're going to have their days just like you have your days, right?
Right. Absolutely. That's correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. So before we leave, what is some kind of empowering word or encouraging word or a word of wisdom that you can provide for someone who may watch this video, who may listen to this podcast, send them off with some kind of word of empowerment, motivation, or wisdom.
Yes, absolutely. Just know that whatever you're going through right now, you're gonna overcome that. It's not gonna be overnight, but you have to take it like one day at a time, like take baby steps. Don't be afraid to reach out or seek professional help or support. No one's gonna judge you. No one thinks you're weak or you're not a burden. And it's gonna be okay. Like you're gonna make it through this, but you gotta like you have to learn to love yourself, and you have to put your faith and your trust in God, and believe in yourself. Believe that you deserve better and know your worth. And yeah, God loves you. That's what I would say.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so very much for your wisdom, for your knowledge, for sharing that with us today. I so appreciate you. Thank you for joining me today.
Yes, Susie, it was definitely a pleasure. I mean, I was so honored to be on here, and hopefully this can bless and help someone. And, don't be afraid to reach out. I'm here. Anyone listening, you're not alone. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Joy, thank you so very much for joining me today. I hope you have a great day.
You too. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, bye. Thank you.
Mhm.